Hey everybody, hope you're good. I want to talk about what I got for Christmas. Baldur's Gate 3. It's pretty good. It's pretty good, folks. So that's what I've been doing. That's why I haven't been streaming. I've been playing that game on my own solo just to see what all the hoopla is about. Is it worthy of the title game of the year? I'm starting to realize, there's so much depth to this game. As somebody who's played many video games that are inspired by Dungeons & Dragons, but I've only played the actual game Dungeons & Dragons a few times in my life. A lot of dice rolling can be kind of a turnoff for some folks, which is why video games helped automate that in quick succession. But here, the dice roll is paramount in a lot of different scenarios, and it works well. It does work well, because in a role-playing game, playing the role of a wizard or a cleric or a barbarian or others, you have certain skill sets and certain strengths that you stick to, and how those strengths are used or weaknesses are used in the world around you is pretty fascinating. So a couple tips and tricks I guess I learned after playing the first 10 hours. Jump everywhere. You're going to use jump all the time. You can even gain further distance by moving a bit and then jumping compared to just moving all the way through. So make sure you use jump a lot. You can jump up and down different areas. You can jump past traps. Just be careful and save often. You got that quick save feature. Save all the time. I think they call it, save scumming or whatever, where something happens in a decision, you're like, oh no, and you go back and load because you didn't like the outcome. Hey, that's fine. On your first playthrough, do it all the time, okay? Nothing wrong with it. If you really, 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 really want to roleplay, then you can do it. I guess that's the genius of this game, is it is so open to different interpretations, to different approaches and play styles, that it can be an entirely different experience your second time playing. I'm currently playing as Gale. I have something in my chest that's going to explode. That's kind of similar to Karlach, I think her name is. So I just found her. I found all the starting characters. And each time this guy dies, Gale dies, it is such a pain in the butt that it's like, oh, he died. Let me just go back and load, or let me try to res him real quick, because if he dies, then a giant explosion happens or something like that, which gets insane. But the different characters are so distinct and fun to talk to and fun to see their interactions. It reminds me of what it was like to play Dragon Age. Remember that game? Remember how good that game series was? It feels like Dragon Age. It feels like Mass Effect. It feels like what BioWare should be making. And when you are able to have such compelling characters, I get enthralled with the story, and I want to see what's going to happen, not just in the overall story, but what's going to happen with these individual characters. That's how you create such a compelling narrative, and that's why people are spending up to 100 hours going through this game for the very first time. And that's probably why it's received so many amazing accolades and praise and awards that it was starting to make other video game developers upset. Why was it making them upset? Well, probably because everybody should have this standard of quality for their game. And if you don't have this standard of quality when it comes to writing, what are you doing? I have not cringed once. Playing Baldur's Gate 3, and I'm 10 hours in. That is an achievement. That's an achievement in writing. That's phenomenal. And I was thinking about that when I was driving to work, going, I haven't cringed once. My cringe meter has been at 0. That's good. That's good stuff. And some of the decisions that you make are not the good guy decisions, and you can see what different paths can branch out for your dialogue options. But just know that you're not able to say everything you see on the screen when it comes to dialogue options. Sometimes you say that option and then it moves on to the next scenario, so you can't just go back and see what every option is going to give you, So you got to be careful with what you say. Treat it like limited time. Try to say the right thing once, succinctly, and then boom, move on. Romance. Yep, I'm on board. And I like how both adult, mature, and fun romance and sexuality is in this game. It's so refreshing. It feels like grown-ups made it. And that it's for grown-ups. So I've been really enjoying that. Shadowheart, my girl. I don't know, Lyselle's pretty cool too, man. So it's fun to see how they pair off each other based on your play style. The combat itself, listen, you got to think strategically. You can't just go and think you're going to blow everything up, especially if you're a wizard. Use your rogue, use your cleric spells, use bless on the cleric, and also have guidance. Guidance allows you to have a dice roll up to 4 for a lot of different dice rolls. So have those two things. You got to have a cleric, you got to have a healer. You can use Lyselle or Karlach as your tank. You have Astarion as your rogue. You've got, who else? You got Will, who can be like an upfront brawler, sword fighter. And then you have the druid, I forget. I'm still learning these characters' names, but my main party has been Gale, Shadowheart, Astarion, and Lysel. But I switched up Karlach for a quest recently. I'll probably go back to Lysel. And yeah, they're great to have in the party. Again, these conversations and these different options you have in the dialogue, even throughout the story, makes it compelling, makes it exciting. And yeah, I've definitely reloaded the game lots of times because I've said something and Shadowheart disapproved. I'm like, oh no, not Shadowheart. As Gale yells out if Shadowheart dies, anybody but her. They got a thing. I don't know. I like Lysel too, man. I mean, she's no nonsense. It's good to have somebody like that in your party for sure. Other tips and tricks. Well, definitely use ranged attacks when appropriate, but if it's better for melee, like look at the difference between the percentage. And another thing that I learned too is that when you load up people's armor or look for their armor, you can just go to their armor slots and see what armor or gear is available for that slot instead of going through all your inventory. So there's some quality of life things in the game that I really, really enjoy that makes me again, feel very intimidated approaching this game because of all the different options and all the different spells and all the different character creation stuff that you can do. But once you get the hang of it, once you go down those first couple steps, I think probably like hour 5, hour 6, starting to get the hang of the different battles, realizing like, okay, each battle is going to take a lot and I'm going to have to rest up in between the battles. Also, another thing in the dialogue at the beginning of the game, it's telling you like, oh, you only have 7 days until you die. I'm like, well, I better not rest. I better not sleep. But I think that's for the regular folks if they get turned into a mind flayer. But for you, you have some sort of guardian or something is stopping you from changing into the mind flayer. So that timetable doesn't really matter. So I know a lot of people kind of have that hesitation, at least what I've seen in character guides or people reacting to the game of like, oh no, I only have like 7 days. No, that's just part of the beginning of the story, but you find out you have longer. So rest up where you need, when you need. The music is gorgeous. The environments are gorgeous. I'm currently in this underground section with all these beautiful mushrooms, and it's a very, very pretty game. But again, it doesn't compensate nor dilute the importance of the characters. So if you want your game to have such positive feedback and such a positive conversation around it, have characters that are compelling, have gameplay that makes sense, that's both difficult, but once you start to master it, it's very, very rewarding and fulfilling. So would I recommend Baldur's Gate 3 after 10 hours in? Yeah, I probably would. Just know that this is probably going to be a 100-hour experience. And as somebody who spent 100 hours on Final Fantasy 16, it's taken me a while to want to jump into that world again, but so be it. Is it a game that I would stream? Not really. It is such a single-player type of experience that even if you look at Twitch or YouTube of who's streaming it, it's not a whole lot of numbers. So I still would keep streaming Fortnite or other games. But I mean, especially if like for a 5-hour special show or to show the end game and show you what my party looked at, what my character looks like, and how powerful I am, I'd be down to do something like that. But in terms of the story itself, this is something that should be experienced one-on-one. And that's Baldur's Gate 3, everybody. So I hope you had a great holiday. I'll try to get a stream going here pretty soon, but in the meantime, we'll be playing Baldur's Gate 3, and I'll let you know how I feel after 20 hours in, and then maybe another 10 hours or hit 50 mark or whatever, or after I finish Act 1. It's still a lot of mystery to me in the game, and a lot of the footage that I've seen is only in Act 1, so I have no idea what's going to happen in the future, and I'm looking forward to enjoying the story. All right, well, if you can think of any tips or tricks or things that you wish you knew after the first 10 hours or 20 hours of Baldur's Gate 3, please share them in the comments below. I'd love to hear your feedback. And please, no spoilers. I've tried to keep myself spoiler-free with what goes on in the game, and I hope you can do so as well on this video. And did you get any games for Christmas, and what games are you currently playing over the holiday break? All right, everybody, it's YouTube. You know what to do. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you online.